Hi everyone. Thank you for joining the episode 6 of ServiceDesk Plus Masterclass 2024. Before we dive into the session, let me quickly introduce myself to you guys. I'm Kavya Kannan, a product expert in ServiceDesk Plus, and I have been with Manage Engine for a couple of years. I'm happy to host you this beneficial session where I'm sure that you will get some valuable insights and ideas on building a robust IT asset management process using ServiceDesk Plus, which involves several key steps from initial planning to ongoing management and its complete optimization. All right, without any further delay, getting into the agenda for today. As a first step, we will be exploring the asset discovery methods using which we will bring in the assets into our ServiceDesk Plus. We will work on how to craft an extensive hardware and software asset repository. Then we will look on the configuration and customization options that are available for the asset field attributes. Finally, very important feature, the report functionality using which we will visualize the asset data. In today's fast-paced and technology-driven environment, efficient asset management is not just a necessity. It's a strategic advantage. ServiceDesk Plus, an IT service management software by Manage Engine, is designed to help organizations streamline their IT operations and deliver exceptional services. One of its most powerful features is asset management, which provides a systematic approach to tracking and managing an organization's IT and non-IT assets throughout their complete life cycle. Now, I'm heading to the ServiceDesk Plus UI of our application, and right on the top right corner, we have the admin settings. So this is where we are going to look into our discovery methods as our first agenda. So the separate segment that we have is for the discovery options. The first method that we are going to look into is the agent configuration page. Agent configuration page is where you can download all your respective agents such as Windows agent, Linux agent, or the Mac agent based on your needs, and you can deploy it across your networks, which will fetch the asset information and then populate it into your asset inventory. This details would be both the hardware, software, and the warranty information of the assets. And now you will have a question like, what is the agent that we are currently using? Right now, we are using the unified agent of Endpoint Central application for scanning, and Endpoint Central is our unified endpoint management suite from Manage Engine for complete access to all your endpoints. And right here in the agent configuration page, you will be able to configure the server IP address, the public IP address, the agent security settings, and also the remote control settings. And next method of discovery where we are going to bring in the assets is the Windows domain scan. Windows domain scan is where you're going to enter the credentials of your domain or the work group, and right by entering its details and credentials and saving scan, you will be able to perform a scan on your domain and bring in all the assets from your domain and add it into the asset inventory. And next method would be the network scan. Network scan, we have an option for scanning an entire network, or you can go with a specific IP address range by specifying the from and to IP address ranges. So here you can scan different types of devices like Windows, Linux, Mac, Solaris, AIX, the SNMP supported devices like printers, routers, switches, VMwares, and also Cisco IP phones. And you can also select the respective credentials for those devices, and you can scan the entire network or the specific IP address range. So now you will have a question like, where are these credentials being configured? Yes, we do have a separate segment called credentials library under the same discovery segment, where you can add all your credentials of the respective assets and use it during your scanning and remote control process. So it's not needed that you have to enter the credentials each and every time you do. And next method of discovery, we are heading to the assets module. Right under the assets module, we have the new option using which we can add asset through form. So through form is just you're going to enter the details of the assets, and once you click on save, the asset data will be added into our inventory. And next method is same. Right under the new option, you will be able to select import from CSV. So like if you are an organization who is managing your assets in a sheet, then you can go with this option where you can select the file where your data are listed down and managed. And once you click on submit, you will be able to map the respective fields that are present in your file to the default system fields, and you will be able to import all those data right into the asset inventory. Next method is very interesting. The barcode scanning. Barcode scanning, from its name, we are going to just scan the barcode and automatically the asset will be added into the asset inventory. Right in our application, we have option for generating the barcodes as well. So you can either use the vendor's barcode or you can go with the option of generating your own barcodes as well. This barcode generation is available for both. You can do it for both your new assets that are procured in your organization as well as for the existing assets that you have in your organization. So generating the barcodes is going to be very simple, that you're going to select the product type, the product for which you're going to do the generation of barcodes, and right by using the two methods, which is sequential or the manual method of generating the barcodes, you can generate barcodes and scan them and add the assets into the application. So generation of barcodes, we have also have an option for printing the barcodes. You can have print the barcodes based on two methods, which is the manual method and the sequential method. Manual method is where you're going to enter the barcode manually and you can configure the label properties such as the label size, printer resolution, the number of labels per row, the respective site for which the label property is going to be configured. When all these details are done and you select the print option, automatically the manual method of printing the barcodes is done. And next, the sequential method, same to that of barcode generation. You're going to enter the prefix, starting value, the suffix value, and same as that of the label properties. And when you click on print, sequential barcodes will be printed, which you can use in your assets for the new assets as well as for the existing assets that you have in the application. And finally, we have the history option for the barcode, where you can find all the barcode details that you have generated in the application for the respective technicians, product types, and the barcode details. Now, you will have a question like, as we have the option for barcode scanning, do we have an option for QR code scanning? Yes, we do have. Right now, QR code scanning option is available in our mobile application of ServiceDesk Plus, which is available for both the iOS and as well as the Android. So you're going to take your phone and you're going to scan the QR of the particular asset that you want to bring into the application, and the asset data will be added right into our asset inventory. So using a mobile application, you can do both the scanning, barcode scanning can also be done, and QR code scanning can also be done. So these are the methods using which we are going to bring in the assets into our asset inventory. So now you have a question like, do we have option for scheduling the scan? Yes. Right back to the discovery segment, and under the schedule scan, you can configure a schedule either daily, weekly, or monthly, and you can specify the time at which the schedule has to start so that you can keep your asset inventory up to date. So that if you have add new assets also, all the assets will be added into the asset inventory based on the schedule configuration that we have made right in the schedule scan page. Now we have seen different methods for adding the data into the asset data into the application. Do we have any settings for related to this scan? Yes, we do have. That is under our scan settings. So scan settings is very crucial for an application to manage all the scan related settings, right? So this settings will help you to configure all your discovery related settings. And it's very important that it will allow you to configure how and when the application will scan your particular network or the entire network. And the first option in the scan settings that we are going to look into is the configuration of invalid service tag. So let's take a scenario like while performing a scan, the workstation and servers are uniquely identified based on its service tag and name. So when the service tag are not configured properly by the manufacturer, many machines would result in similar service tags, right? In such cases, if a scan is performed, one workstation detail will get overwritten by the another because the service tag remains same, right? So in order to avoid this, you can add that particular service tag under the invalid service tag list such that the workstations with the service tag is ignored during the scan. You're going to click on add new, and just by entering the invalid service tag, automatically it will be added into the invalid service tags list so that you can avoid that asset getting scanned during all the scan we do in the application. Next comes an option where you can scan the softwares that are present in the Solaris and AIX machines. This is because by default, we don't scan the software because of the minimal license constraint that we have in these OS. But if you would like to scan those softwares as well, that is possible just by enabling this option. And next is adding unknown assets. Like if you are an organization who is purchasing a lot of assets at regular interval of time and you need it to be updated in your inventory at particular times, then while performing a schedule scan, if the add unknown assets option is enabled, automatically all the new assets that you have procured will be added into our asset inventory. So you need not bring in all of them manually by scanning each and every one of them. And next option is delete or dispose assets that have not been scanned in the last 90 days. So we have an option for moving the asset to the dispose state or either to delete them once if it is not scanned for the 90 days. This 90 days configuration is the default one. But if you would like to change the days configuration, you can do it as well just by clicking on the option here. So one option is deleting the asset completely from the asset inventory, and next is the dispose state. Here comes a question like, what is this dispose state? So dispose state is one of the asset state that is available by default in our application. And what is the purpose of this state is that, for example, if an asset is not being scanned for a 90 days, we can assume that currently that asset is not in a usable state. And it is waste of a license to be consumed by that asset, right? So in that case, we can move that asset to this dispose state and automatically the license will not be consumed by that asset and you can use that license for a new asset that is added into your asset inventory. You can also configure software compliance calculation as well. And we will look into all the possible asset states that we have in our upcoming part. Okay. And just by clicking on the save option, the scan settings will be added. And one other feature that we have is exclude IPs or devices from getting scanned in your organization. So this is where like some devices on your network contain highly sensitive information or that are critical to business operations. For example, the financial service, executive laptops, or a devices in a secure lab. In order to avoid any potential security risks or disruptions that might occur during the scanning, you can exclude the IP addresses of these sensitive devices from being scanned. Thus, exclude IP address setting in ServiceDesk Plus is useful for various scenarios where you need to prevent specific IP addresses or ranges from being scanned. You're going to enter either the device name or the IP address, and once you click on add, the device name will be added right into the excluded IP device list. So these are some of the scan settings option that we have. Heading back to the slide. So we have seen the first agenda where we have covered the most of the discovery methods using which we have add the asset into our asset inventory. So this includes the agent-based scan, the Windows domain scan, network scan, barcode, and QR. And next comes the very important point, which is building a comprehensive IT and non-IT asset repository, which is using ServiceDesk Plus, involves a systematic approach to inventory management, categorization, and its complete optimization. Basically, asset management is divided into two types. Let's say HAM and SAM. So it's nothing but hardware asset management and software asset management. As a first step, we will be looking on the hardwares that are discovered, and we are going to look on the classification of the hardware assets that we have in the application. I'm heading back to the ServiceDesk Plus UI, and right under the assets module, on the left panel, you can find the different types of assets that we have. The first type of asset that we have is the IT assets. IT assets are the assets that will have an IP address and that are discoverable. For example, an access point, printers, routers, switches, or the workstations. All these come under the category of IT assets. You also have option for classifying the assets either as virtual host or virtual machines. And next comes the non-IT assets. Non-IT assets, which is the opposite of IT assets, which is not discoverable, that comes under the category of non-IT assets. For example, the projectors, scanners, and the switch ports. These are some of the devices that we have inbuilt added in the application when you install the application. And if you would like to add more, that is also possible. And that option we will be looking into our upcoming part. And next comes the asset component. Asset component. Component refers to the parts or the items that are essential for the operation of other assets or systems. For example, a keyboard or a mouse is very important for the functioning of a laptop, right? All these components come under the category of asset components. And we do have one other option of adding the assets, the classification of assets, which is the consumables. Consumables refers to the items that are used up over a time and that need to be regularly replaced. For example, the A4 sheets or the toners that you use in the printer has to be replaced regularly, right? So these all come under the category of asset consumables. So these are the different classification of assets we have. And now you have a question like, do we have option for grouping the assets? Yes, we have. The asset group feature helps you to do that functionality. And just by clicking on add new group, you will be able to create two different types of group in the application. So one is the static group and the another one is the dynamic group. Static group is where like an organization is working on multiple projects, and if they like to allocate and manage assets for each project, right? Like for example, project A, project B, and project C, there will be no criteria for providing the assets to them. You will be providing 10 to 20 assets to the project A, 10 to 20 assets to project B, and 10 to 20 assets for project C. There is no criteria. In that case, you can go with a static group. I'm going to show you an example of project A group, which I have already created. And clicking on the edit group, and you're going to just select the asset. And once you click on the add option right here on the edit group option, the asset will be automatically added to the static group. So this is where you will be manually adding the assets into the group where there is no criteria for adding them or grouping them. So this grouping function will help you to perform a collective action on the assets, right? So next comes the option of creating a dynamic group. So dynamic group is where I'm going to give you an example of the recent issue that we have faced, which is the blue screen CrowdStrike issue that we faced in our Windows machines. So if you would like to group all those machines that had this issue, you can go with the dynamic group where you can click on the dynamic group option and you can select the criteria as OS contains Microsoft Windows 10 or OS contains Microsoft Windows 11, you can automatically add all those assets to this particular group, and you can perform a collective action. Let's say you're going to apply a patch for the fix, or you're going to upgrade Windows 10 to Windows 11. All these can be done from here, which is the dynamic group functionality. So these are the two groups that we have in our application for grouping the assets. Next comes a question like, what are all the features that we have in our asset module for managing the assets? Before that, there comes a question like, as we have seen, all the option for hardware management. Is there an option for software management? Yes, we have the software option where right under the scan software, you will be able to view all the list of the softwares that has been scanned in your assets and added into the inventory. It's very important that you have to manage these softwares in the right manner, because it is important to stay compliant with legal requirements and to avoid costly fines and to optimize our software expenditures. If there is a mismanagement in these software licenses, it can lead to severe consequences, including the legal penalties and unnecessary expenditures, right? So using our software management in ServiceDesk Plus, you need not face all these issues. You can manage all your softwares very easily. So this option is where you're going to find all the softwares that are scanned and added. And next comes the software summary. So this is a ready to view dashboard of your software details. The first option that you can find is whether you stay compliant, like you are whether under licensed, over licensed, or you're going to stay compliant. All this information can be viewed from the software summary dashboard. And you can view the license usage summary and as well as the software usage summary. Software usage summary includes the overall usage, or whether you can categorize it based on rarely, frequently, occasionally, or never used. Next comes an option where you can view the list and the number of softwares that are present in the different types of softwares that are present by default in the application. For example, the excluded list does not contain any of the things, and the shareware contains nothing, and unidentified contains 38 type of softwares that are added into the application. And next comes the count of unused licenses, the rarely used licenses, and you also can view the count of license agreement expiry. And you can view them for the next 70 days and also for the next 30 days. The license that is going to expire in next 7 days and the next 30 days. You can view it right from here, which is the right to view dashboard for the softwares. And next comes the license agreements. License agreement is the single screen where you can review and renew the licenses whenever you need. So this is where you can stay that you remind precautionally you will be expiring this asset, that you will renew the license agreements in very regular interval, so that the expiry date will not be crossed behind the date that we have already configured. So this is where you will be able to manage all the license agreements that you have added in the asset application. And next comes the option for managing all the software licenses that you have. So these software licenses include the type of software licenses, the purchased count, and also the right now available count of the respective software licenses. And we also have option for viewing the service packs. So service packs are nothing, the service packs such as hotfix or security updates that are added in the asset will be listed down here. Like for example, an asset has a service pack installed for a security update purpose, it will be displayed right here, and also its installation count will also be displayed here. So these are some of the features that we have for the software management. Next comes the features that we have completely for the asset management. And we are heading to the first feature, which is the asset booking and asset loan feature. Asset loan registry. The first option that we are going to look into the asset loan is loan registry. Loan registry is where you can view all the assets that are loaned to the respective users and its expiry dates. So this loan feature comes into play where there are numerous instances where assets need to be temporarily assigned to individuals or departments, right? Whether it's a laptop for a new employee or specialized tools for a project, the ability to loan the assets efficiently is crucial so that we don't lose the valuable assets in our organization. So this is where our asset loan feature comes into play. And next option is our loaned assets. Loaned assets is where you can view all the assets that has been loaned. Here comes a clear difference between the loan registry and the loaned assets. Basically, the loan registry contains the users who have taken the loan, whereas the loaned assets maintain all the assets that are loaned. And next comes the loanable assets option. Just by adding or selecting the asset, and when you click on the mark loanable asset option, and when you select the asset, it will be added as a loaned asset, that it will be available for a user to be taken for a loan purpose. This is where our asset booking feature and asset loan feature is interconnected. So once when an asset is marked as a loanable asset, automatically it will be available for a user to book that asset for his or her purpose. And next comes the loan expired assets. This is the page where you can view all the asset loan that has been expired, and there is an option to email the users of the respective loan and saying that the loan has been expired and it's not yet returned to the asset inventory. There is option for automatically sending the notification as well. This is one method of manually sending it right from here, which is under the loan expired assets. So getting back to the asset booking feature. So asset booking feature is one of our exclusive feature that we have introduced in our ServiceDesk Plus feature application. It's like the user can directly get into his self-service portal and he will be able to book an asset for his or her purpose by himself. There is no need for an admin to go and select the asset and give it to the user. They can themselves book an asset for their purpose. And there is booking settings option as well, where you can configure the respective settings for the booking. The general purpose includes the allowed date of the booking, the purpose configurations, and the history of the booking settings can be viewed from the booking setting page. And next feature that we have is the asset replenishment. Asset replenishment. Imagine you work in a large organization where various departments frequently require new assets such as laptops, monitors, and printers. Managing asset replenishment efficiently is crucial to ensure that departments have the tools they need to operate effectively without unnecessary delays and overspending. This is where the asset replenishment feature helps you. You are going to click on the new option and you're going to select the site for which we are going to configure the replenishment and select the product type for which we are going to select the configuration. I'm going to the workstation. I'm selecting the product type as 208 and current inventory count shows 334. You can trigger a notification. You can configure a threshold, say 5. I'm going to configure it as 5. So it's an example like when the count gets below 5 of the current inventory count, automatically a notification will be triggered to all the IT admins all around the application, and they will get a notification saying that the count has been reached below the threshold and it's time to purchase the new assets. So this is where our asset replenishment feature helps you in buying the assets at the right time, and clicking on the save, the asset replenishment configuration will be added here. So using this, it will help you avoid purchasing the rarely used licenses and having it stocked as well. And next feature that we have is the auto assignment of users. Before that, let's get into the summary of assets that we have in our application. So right under the summary, you can view the workstations and servers detected, the workstations and servers inventory, and also the servers that has been failed during the last scan. It is also possible to schedule a scan for all these devices right from the scan summary page. So this is one other page where you will be able to download the respective agents similar to that of the agent configuration page, which we looked under the discovery settings. You can also get into the agent configuration page right from here. And next comes the option for viewing the asset status. All the count of assets that are present in the respective asset state will be listed down here. For example, the assets that are present in store, in use, in repair, and also the loan expired assets will also be visible here. And you can also view the workstations that are not scanned for the last 7 days. And also you can view the hardware and software changes that has made in the last 7 days. And also you can make a detailed audit trial report as well. And also the group management. You can manage the groups right here from the summary option. So here is the option where we are going to look on for the auto assignment of users. So there is an option here for unassigned workstations, and right opposite to it, you can find the auto assign. So this auto assign feature is interconnected to an option that we have in our endpoint central application. So as I told, we are using the agent of our endpoint central application. So in the endpoint central application, we have an option say, if the asset gets scanned, the asset detail, the owner detail will be added based on the last logged in user details. So the user who has used that asset very recently will be added under a field called last logged in user, and that last logged in user will be the owner of the asset. By this way, you can automatically assign the assets to the respective users who are using that particular asset. So this option is available by enabling the option in the endpoint central application. So this option that we have right here is show suggested owner list, which will show you all the list of owners that are based on the last logged in user details. So it's not you're going to click on the assign owner and manually. This is also an option where you can manually assign owners based on the suggested owner. There is also an automatic assignment of owners, which is using the option that I told you that is available on the endpoint central application. So that option is right now available for our Windows OS, which is based on the last logged in user. We will be fetching the owner details. So this is one other feature that we have in our asset management. Now we have seen the options for features and functions that we have in our asset module, which includes all the service packs, asset replenishment, and the auto assignment. Next, heading to the customization and configuration option that we have for the asset attributes. So these are some of the asset attributes that we have by default in our application. So heading to the ServiceDesk Plus UI, and in the assets module, I'm going to show you one of my asset which I have been scanned and added successfully into the asset inventory. So it is, I'm heading to the asset that I have scanned successfully. So as you can see in the page, right now I'm on the asset details page. So this asset details page will list down all the details that has been captured by the agent and added into the asset inventory. So it includes the asset states, the product type, the warranty expiry information, the barcode vendor information, the acquisition date, the cost details, user details, and also the location details as well. And you can also find the respective hardware information of those particular asset by clicking on the hardware segment. Right under the hardware segment, you will be able to view the computer information, OS information, processor details, hard disk, logical drives, physical drives, the components that are connected to this device. All those details will be fetched right here under the hardware tab. And as we discussed, we also manage softwares, and right under the software tab, you will view all the softwares that are installed in this asset, and you will also will be able to view the service packs that has been installed in this particular asset. And next comes an important option that we have in our application, which is a relationship. So these relationships are actually managed with a feature that we have in our application, which is CMDB, the Configuration Management Database. That's a separate module that we have in our application. So this module helps you to create relationship between the assets. So I'll let you know with an example. Let's take one server, a very crucial server that has an application that is being used by all over your organization is down. Then using this relationship configuration, all those assets or all the users that are connected to this particular server, that is the application which is being used by the respective users, will be connected in this relationship, and you will be able to view all those information under the CMDB relationship, so that you can make sure once if this server gets down, all the related to CI types will be affected. This is where the CMDB comes into play, and you can make a proactive action before changing or making an action on that particular crucial server. And you will be able to view the contracts that are associated to this particular asset, and also the financial information of the asset. And next comes the associations. So for example, if this asset is being associated to a request that has been raised in the application, you can view that particular request details, the problem details, and also the change details right under this association tab. And finally, we have the history option. History option is where you can find the scan history, the last scanned details and the data that has been added and fetched during the last scan. And you also have the option for viewing the asset ownership history, the CI history, and the remote session history. That is the remote control that has been taken in this particular asset. And on the right panel, you can find the status of the scan status that you have done in this asset, whether it's success, failure, or it's ongoing. All those status of the scan can be viewed on the right panel. And you can also view the last scan date, the scan type, the scan mode as well. And you can view the asset state, and also you can find whether this particular asset is loaned or not using the is loan field that is available on the right panel. And next comes, as we have seen, the asset details and the fields that are available in the asset that is fetched by the agent. We are going to the option of customizing it. Right under the admin settings on the top right corner, we have a separate segment called customization. So this customization segment allows you to customize all the fields in the application in all different modules that we have. So right now, I'm getting into the asset management. Asset management, customization. So firstly, we are going to look on the product type. Product type is the highest level of classification that you have in the ServiceDesk Plus application. Let's take an example like workstation would be the product type. Then automatically workstation type, that is the type of the workstation, comes under the category of product. So for example, I'm going to create a new product type, which is workstation 1, and you will be able to select the respective asset type, whether it's going to be asset, component, or whether it's a consumable. And also you have the option for selecting the category, whether it's going to be an IT asset or a non-IT asset. And once you click on save, the product type will be added into the application. And next comes the product. As we have configured a workstation as the product type, the model of the device comes under the category of product. So workstation is the product type, then HP comes under the category of product. So this is where just by clicking on new, you will be able to select the product type for which you're going to configure the product, and you will be able to select them as well. And next comes a question like whether we have the option for managing the vendor information in our application. So right by clicking the vendor details, you will be able to add all the vendor information and their contact information as well, and the respective currency information. So by adding the vendor details right here, you will be able to add them in the particular assets or during the contracts as well. And next comes the software types that are available by default in our application. So it includes the excluded, freeware, managed, prohibited, shareware, and unidentified. So let's take an example like you want a particular type of software not to be installed in your organization. Then you can add it under the prohibited list of softwares so that none of your users can install that software in your assets in the organization. In the same way, you can create your own software type and you can have its own description and add that softwares to that particular software types. So these are some of the default software types that we have in our application. And next comes the software category based on which you can categorize your software. As we had option for categorizing the assets, we have the option for categorizing the softwares as well. So these are some of the default categorization options that we have. If you need, you can go on with the option of creating a new one as well. Next comes the software license types. As similar to the software types, you can configure the license types as well. You can configure it whether it's going to be a perpetual license or whether it's going to be a free license. All these can be configured right under the license type. And also you can configure the installations allowed for that particular license type, whether it's going to be a single installation or unlimited installation. Whatever configuration you need, you can add it right here under the software license type. And next comes the most important one, the asset state. So right now we have 5 different asset states available in the application, which are in store, in use, in repair, expired, and disposed. From its name itself, you can get its description. So in store is the assets that are present in the stock, and in use are the assets that are currently used by the organization. In repair, the assets that are currently damaged and being getting repaired, that will come under the category of repair state. And also the expired and disposed state options. As we discussed on the scan settings page, these two states, that is the expired and disposed state of asset, will not consume any license. So in case if you would like to have an asset managed just for a reporting purpose, then you can add them in the expired and disposed list and it will not consume any license, but you will be able to get a report of that assets for the later purpose or auditing as well. And this in-store, in-use, and in-repair state of assets will consume license. So based on this asset state this is where the asset license is being counted. So in our application, for the users and technicians, we have license. In the similar way, for the assets, the license count are being calculated based on the asset state. And next comes the option for importing the licenses from CSV. Similar to what we did for the asset import, you're going to select the CSV file, you're going to map the respective fields in the file to the system default attributes, and once you click on import, all the license details that you have in your CSV file will be added into the application. Next comes one other feature that we have in our application for our software management, which is our software metering. Software metering is a feature in ServiceDesk Plus that helps you keep track of how software applications are being used within your organization, whether it's rarely used, occasionally used, or frequently used. By knowing how much each software is being used, you can make sure you have the right number of licenses, neither too many nor too few. You're going to click on new configuration and you can select the runtime and run count time for the rarely used, occasionally used, and frequently used. And you can select the software type for which you're going to configure the software metering. And based on the software metering, the data will be collected here under the software metering page. Using this option, you can avoid the purchasing of the rarely used licenses and having it in stock in your inventory. So these are the customization of asset field attributes that we have in our application. Heading to the last agenda for today, which covers our report functionality. Reports. Reports is the most important feature of our application, where you can find hundreds of predefined reports for all the modules, including the asset module. So here on the left panel, you can find all the predefined reports that are available in the application, including for the asset management. I'm going to show you one among them. I'm clicking on the software and going into the software by category predefined report, and just by clicking on it, it is going to instantly generate a report based on the data that we have inbuilt in the application. So this is one method where you can create predefined reports that you can view your predefined data right in the application. And next option, if you would like to go with a custom report, whether you need only set of a particular columns that you need in the report, yes, that is also possible. You can click on the custom report option and you can select the type of report, whether it's going to be a tabular report, matrix report, and etc. And you're going to select the respective module. Right now, as we are looking into the asset management, I'm going to the all assets module. And once you click on report, proceed to report wizard, and I'm going to select the available columns that are present, and I'm going to move it to the display columns, and you have options for filtering, grouping, and also you have the option for summarizing the data, and also you can make the data available in the chart forms as well. And once you click on run report, automatically the data that is present in the application will be fetched as a report. You also have option for exporting this data as well. The export data option is available as HTML, PDF, XLS, CSV, and etc. So right from here, you will be able to export the data, which is very useful for your auditing purposes. And next comes the query report option. So if you have a column or a data that is not being pulled by this predefined reports and custom reports, then you can automatically go with the option of query reports. Just by clicking on the query report, you have the database schema where you can find the table information and you can create your own queries, and you can execute that queries right from the query report, and you will be able to collect the data. And next is the schedule report. You can also schedule a report and you will be able to fetch in all the asset data, particularly for a time interval, and you can get it notified to a particular person as well. So this is the last agenda. I'm getting back to the slide. So we have looked into the various methods of asset discoveries, the customization options, and finally we have visualized the data using the reports, which is the pre-built reports and the custom reports. Let's get into the quick recap, which is in this masterclass, we have seen most of the available asset discovery methods, starting from the agent configuration to the CSV input. We have seen various features and functionalities using which you can manage your IT hardware, software licenses, and you can stay compliant. Then we look to the software metering configuration, using which you can measure your software utilization. And we went through the customization option that is available for the asset attributes. Finally, we saw the report generation functionality used to visualize the asset utilization. And you can drop us an email to our support team, which is support@servicedeskplus.com, or you can also write to me, which I showed my email address, which is kavya.kannan@zohocorp.com, or to hello@servicedeskplus.com as well. And we also have a complete admin guide where the complete configuration and customization options for the complete asset management and also all the respective modules has been listed down very clearly. And we also have release notes available where you can find all the new features that has been released in each and every version of our application. And finally, we have the product videos, which we have in our YouTube channel of Manage Engine, where you can view all your product videos and learn more information on the asset data. And you can also use our community portal as well, or you can write us to hello@servicedeskplus.com, and we'll be happy to help you out on all your queries that you have. All right, folks, we are at the end of the session. Have a great day ahead. and thank you for your patience. I encourage you to explore the asset management feature in Service Desk Plus and see how they can transform your IT operations. Feel free to ask any questions and we will be happy to help you out. Bye bye, guys.